Whether you love them or hate them, it's undeniable that Apple really are the tech giants that just do some things better. Today, we're going to be looking at how you can use your Apple products together to make your life so much easier. Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, we need to understand why Apple is such a popular company. When we look at the global market, it's true that Android does dominate the market. But is that really a surprise? Well, when you take a look at the figures, it's not that hard to see why. There are around 1,300 different brands and a combined 25,000 plus mobile devices running Android. How many phones has Apple released? Well, just 34. And those 34 lonely devices still control a global total of 20% of the world's phone sales. That's pretty impressive. It's even more impressive when you realise that Apple controls 48% of the sales in the US. But the question is why? Well, on the outside looking in, Apple devices are more expensive, they don't really change much year to year, and many people still think Apple are way behind companies like Samsung, when in reality that's just not true. You see, there's far more to Apple than simply a phone. In reality, when you adopt the first Apple device, it's sort of a gateway. For example, I myself have an iPhone, a MacBook, MagSafe charger, Apple AirPods Pro, a trackpad, Magic Keyboard, and an iPad. Why do I have all these items, and why did I choose them over Samsung? Well, the answer is simple. Every single one of them creates an environment for me that makes my life a little bit easier. Now, if I just add a few more things that actually aren't Apple, I still have the ability to streamline even more corners of my life using my Apple devices. The first thing I've introduced to my setup is the Elixir MagSafe Continuity Camera phone holder. With the introduction of macOS Ventura, the continuity camera is something that was desperately needed, and Apple knew this. You see this when we look at even the new M2 series of MacBooks. Everything is great, but the webcams are basically potatoes. Apple has put emphasis on the thickness of their devices, and with the slimline profile comes the caveat that you aren't getting decent sensors anywhere near the webcam. Does Apple care? Well, not really. Why? Well, unsurprisingly, nearly 90% of MacBook owners also have an iPhone. So Apple took advantage of that, and now Mac users have the better camera at their disposal than any other laptop or even webcam user. So how does continuity camera work? Well, once you've magnetically attached your phone to the mount, it's really quite simple, as with most things are with Apple. With your mount in place, open FaceTime, wait a couple of seconds, and the internal camera will switch over to the iPhone camera. Once it's switched, you have a plethora of options from the standard all the way to studio mode. Okay, so on to the next trick Apple had up its sleeve, and it's personally one I use all the time. One of the things that I've always had is an extra monitor at my disposal, and now Apple have come up trumps yet again with Sidecar. Personally, I use Sidecar with my MacBook and iPad Pro, and it works incredibly well. I have zero connection issues like I used to have even just a year ago. The great thing about the iPad screen is that it is a lot better than most screens you can get. Of course, one of the issues when using Sidecar was having a stable, portable mount which you can carry around in your bag. However, right under my nose was when I discovered this Elixir Premium Universal Metal Smartphone and Tablet Stand. While the stand may look small, it's tough and incredibly durable. We've been testing one in the studio here for the past few weeks and it's been fantastic. It has a low profile when folded up and inserts into my laptop bag with ease. It also has a little bit of weight to it, so you can easily accommodate an iPad Pro 12.9 inch. However, I think anything bigger and it might struggle with. What I appreciate is that stand also has this little bit of rubber on it, so you don't get that annoying metal on metal sound if you put the iPad on without a stand. For those of you that are new to Sidecar, let's go through how to set it up quickly. With your MacBook on, head to Settings, then Display, then you'll see this little plus icon. Click it, and in this window you should see your iPad. Finally, you can place the iPad on the Elixir stand. Another thing that I think is not used enough is AirDrop. Having the ability to send pretty much any file on my iPhone, never mind the size, Let's take into account here, there's still a 20 megabyte file size limit with nearly all email servers. Having this ability to get files to others within the office very quickly and without fuss is much needed. Here in the studio, having AirDrop is one thing that speeds up our lives exponentially. Okay, so before we finish today, I do want to show one more item from Elixir. I'd like to introduce you to the Elixir 8-port USB-C multifunction hub. Adding this to my MacBook Air has been exactly what I needed. The hub itself has a USB-C port with power delivery, another USB-C port, HDMI, a USB 3 port, a USB 2.0 port, a micro SD reader, an SD reader, and more importantly, this Ethernet port. Honestly, adding this to my MacBook has given me everything I was missing, and I can highly recommend it. It means I can leave everything I need plugged into this hub, then I can just plug this one cable in each morning and have reliable internet as well as access to all the ports I need. Looking more closely, it isn't really too difficult to see why Apple is such a dominating force. They don't just make a phone, Apple creates an ecosystem that is designed to bring ease to your life. I've been Mark, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, it would be amazing if you could hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get your hands on any of the products in today's video, you can find the links in the description below.